Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. Lots to get into this Monday lunchtime. We're going to big news on Arsenal. You will be signing a striker in the next couple of weeks. Let's talk about that in a few minutes because, oh no, this has got to stop. I can't deal with this anymore. Liverpool are going to win the bloody league and Man United are in a relegation battle. That's a fact. That's a fact. Manchester United won't get relegated. Also, Spurs are in a relegation battle because they're below Man United. So they're not getting away with it as well. Will Ange be sacked? But so much to get into. People this morning talking about 5-year projects, 3-year projects for Manchester United. Spurs fans talking about the season being over. Is this melodramatic nonsense that stops the root cause of the issues being discussed and brought into the mainstream? Because it's nonsensical. Spurs' season is not over. You're in a Carabao Cup semi-final and you're still in the Europa League and you're still in the FA Cup. Your season's not over. You've got key players to come back from injury. If you can hang about in those tournaments, you might get better and you might actually win a trophy in Ange's second season, which is what he said would happen. Unlikely, but could happen. Your season's not over. Manchester United is not a 5-year project either. It's not a 3-year project. It's not a 10-year project. When Arsenal were in a title race with Man City 2 years ago, at the start of that season, most pundits said Arsenal would do well to get top 6. They went for a title. Nobody would have put Nottingham Forest in the top 5. The game of the week of the Premier League next weekend is Nottingham Forest at Bournemouth. No one would say that would ever be game of the week. So projects, seasons over, melodramatic nonsense that adds nothing to the crux of the problem that's going on. I look at this league table next to me. It makes me want to cry. I don't like it. And, I will show you the top of the league in a moment. But you know what? Man United won't get relegated. Spurs won't get relegated. Everton won't get relegated. Wolves might get relegated. But look, Man United are 6 points clear, 10 points clear of Ipswich. And Tottenham are 8 points clear of Ipswich. Ipswich and Leicester won't get 36 points. It won't happen. They're not going to get 36 points. So Spurs need 12 points and Man United need 10 points from the remaining, 16 games? They'll do that. They're in a relegation battle, there's no doubt that, but they're not getting relegated. That's just not going to happen. And anybody who thinks that it is a moron. And that's a horrible word to use, especially on a Monday morning when some people are feeling, irritable. But moronic, it still is. Because they won't get relegated. Because it's 3 up, 3 down. That's what's going to happen unless somebody completely implodes, i.e. maybe Wolves. Everton won't go down. Tottenham won't go down. West Ham won't go down. Man United won't go down. It won't happen. Because they've got too much capability to get to the magic 36 points. And Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton won't. If the league was more competitive, I'd be worried about Tottenham and Manchester United. Because to be honest with you, Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton, bless them, are just not good enough. And if we had 3 teams that were competitive, they'd all be around 20 points. And if they were around 20 points, Wolves would be bottom. And I'd be and my bottom would be going like a rabbit's nose, twitching, because I'd be thinking we could go down. So Man United and Tottenham are fortunate that the Championship is so weak now that they can't deal with promotion. Because Man United and Tottenham are terrible, absolutely terrible. And there's no two ways about it. Amram said Man United is the worst team in history for Manchester United. He's probably right. But Ange on that. Look, get your thoughts in. I completely dispute. We are in a relegation battle. I will acknowledge that, and so are Spurs. But neither team will go down, and Everton won't go down either because the Championship teams aren't good enough to stay up. That's the problem. Did you know that I got told last week that Crystal Palace got relegated with 45 points one year? 45 points. We'd definitely be going down if that happened. Should Ange get the sack? Look, we live in a world of Ange out, Arteta, Amrima, Ten Hag, Moyes. This is the world we live in, and we've generated it as fans. We have to live. Social media has thrown up this, and positives as well. Should Ange get the sack? My quick soundbite on Ange Postecoglou and whether he should get the sack is very simply this, and every football fan of every football club should take note because we're all guilty of it. Sacking the manager is such a Jurassic Park approach to football, i.e. it's old style. The manager's responsible for everything, and yet football has never been so multi-layered. It's got more layers than a wedding cake. You've got director of football, you've got technical director, you've got CEO, you've got the owner, you've got players, you've got agents. There are so many moving pieces now. There is no such thing as a manager that runs the club. It doesn't happen at any Premier League club, even Pep. It doesn't happen. So why is it when everything's going wrong, it's always the manager that needs to get sacked? Football has moved forward so much in the last 20 years, and yet when things go wrong, it's always the manager that needs to get sacked. And very rarely is that actually the issue. You'll bring a new manager in, and Potter's lost already, Moyes has lost already, because fundamentally West Ham and Everton's problems are not the previous managers. It's the way they're doing things comparable to a Bournemouth or a Fulham or a Brentford or a Forest. So football now needs to move away from managers are responsible. If Ange Postecoglou gets the sack because Spurs admittedly have had terrible results, will they have an uptick in results with a new manager? Yeah, Ange last year was apparently amazing. But second year, they'll be crap again because Spurs fundamentally are Spurs. And Spurs are like Man United and like every other club. When you look at it, when things were going wrong at Newcastle, was it the manager that Mike Ashley sacked, or was it Mike Ashley? And I look at Spurs and I look at Man United, and it starts at the top, but those people don't get sacked because they own the club. And so many fans will go, Ange out, and they'll probably say Amorim out at some point. But your owners will stay, and they will keep making bad decisions, and that's the problem. And also, with Ange Postecoglou, can I just say, sacking the guy that fell out with the fans and the owners because they wanted to lose to Man City to stop Arsenal winning the league just seems all kinds of wrong when you want to be a winning club. You're going to sack the guy who wanted to win that game because he wanted to get you in the Champions League and build a winning mentality and was angry with how fans and players wanted to down tools. Maybe Ange is better off away from Spurs, I would say, because that's the mentality that kills Spurs and has done for years. Yeah, interesting. Right, let's take a look at the top of the league. I mean, I genuinely should be absolutely fed up this morning, but the reality bites. You know, look at the top of that league. Look at the top of that league. It's like looking at the bottom of a rabbit's hutch when you haven't cleaned it out for a couple of days. I mean, Liverpool, top of the league. Ugh. But look, they were incredible on Saturday. I've done the video on that. They're going to win the league. I said that Liverpool were going to win the league back in December when they beat Man City. Arsenal, unfortunately, will not, and yet again dropped points. I said this, I don't know where the video is. It might have been on the podcast. In fact, check the podcast out. New episode today. I will get you the link in the video description for that. But I said this, I think it was in November, that Arsenal are out of a title race. And I got absolute pelters for it. And I think, look, bottom line is, I said it because I knew they were going to drop points like Everton, like Villa. And I knew they were going to drop points like that because there is a fragility to Arsenal. Arsenal remind me of a team that are, at the start of the race, capable of running ahead. But if it's a long race, they'll start dropping back because they don't have the ability to finish a long race. And that's how I look at Arsenal. It's a squad issue. They are definitely capable of beating anybody. They're definitely capable of being one of the best teams. But they don't have the squad to do it. And my question to Arsenal is why? Do you not have the money? Or do you not have the desire? Or did you think you had enough? Because you're 3, maybe 4 players short. And if you're bringing in players in the summer, that's absolutely fantastic. But 2 weeks ago, you were in the FA Cup, you were in the Carabao Cup, you were in a title race, and you're in the Champions League. 2 weeks later, you're basically out of the domestic cups, you're out of the title race, and you're probably not going to win the Champions League. And I put that down to the same old thing I always say, the Ollie Watkins effect. If you had Ollie Watkins up front, you would be in a better position. You'd have beat us, you'd still be in the FA Cup. I think you'd have beat Newcastle that time at the Emirates. You'd still be in that. And you'd probably still be in the title race because you would have scored against the likes of Brighton and Everton and Villa. So it's that simple. I said to Robbie on his channel today, I don't understand why Arsenal can't communicate, but Man United don't communicate. Spurs don't communicate. All owners don't communicate. And I think clubs should communicate with fans because I think fans can deal with honesty. We've got a manager at Man United who's just said we're the worst team in history for Manchester United. And everyone's gone, he's right. So everybody can deal with the honesty. That's absolutely fine. And I think that if Arsenal haven't got the money, they should just come out and say, look, we can't compete with the likes of Manchester City because of this, this and this. But admitting a weakness then, might damage them in the transfer market. It's sometimes best to keep your hands close to your chest, but it damages the relationship with the fans. Arsenal have needed a striker for a long time, and why have they not gone and done that? But they're also short in other areas at the moment, which is why they're not going to win the league. On Arsenal, I nearly forgot. Last week, Sam C, who is Sam C Reports on Twitter, works with us on the United Stand, mentioned Sesko. This has not been verified by any decent sources, but I know he's right. I know there are conversations going on about strikers, and Sesko is one of them. I would say to Arsenal fans, I would be stunned if come 2 weeks today, when the transfer window closes, you haven't brought in a striker. Things are happening. There's even talk of Victor Osimhen in the last 24 hours. Arsenal are desperate to make a statement and to bring a striker in. The thought process being, we need a striker next season. If we can get them in now, it could, outside, help us rescue a trophy this year, but would give them momentum into next season as well. So keep that on your mind over the next couple of weeks with Arsenal, because they're 100% doing stuff to bring a striker in, and I would be absolutely stunned if they haven't got one in 2 weeks. And that's not speculation, that is really well sourced. And also the Sesko stuff was as well. I think with Sesko, I'd be very surprised if they did that, but I'd be encouraged if I was an Arsenal fan, because you clearly have got some money. The players you're talking to, it's more about, can you get them out of the club? And how much that will cost in January, because the quality of the players they're talking about, let's just say, if I said to you Sesko, Osimhen, Gyökeres, and a couple of other top European strikers, you wouldn't be far off. They're having that calibre of conversation. It's just what they can do and whether they can get them out. I suppose the concern Arsenal fans would have be if Arteta really wants, let's say, Osimhen, and they can't get Osimhen until the summer, he might go, well, I'm not having anything else, because that's what the perception of Arteta is. But I think Arsenal are awake to the cause that, when the whole fan base is saying you need a player, and beyond that, everyone is saying you need a striker, they can't just sit back going, we don't need one, because they do. They need a couple of other players as well. Anyway, get your comments in below. Lots to get your teeth into there. Thanks, everybody, for watching, as usual. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Obviously, daily content on That's Football. We'll react to any big stuff as well. Watch-alongs this week. It's Champions League this week. So tomorrow night and Wednesday night, we will have the Champions League watch-alongs at 8 o'clock. Multiple games going on at the same time. PSG Man City is the biggest one of the week. If PSG beat Man City, it gets very, very interesting indeed. Take care. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching.